everybody, this is Mike with another crowdfunding preview. Today I'm looking at Fateforge, Chronicles of Kaan. This is an upcoming game from Mighty Boards with solo and co-op options. It's an adventure game, app-assisted, that uses kind of a variation on the old Vengeance dice-based combat system, which I really enjoyed, and it has a narrative campaign mixed with really fast-paced dice-based combat. And as always, we accept no compensation for our crowdfunding coverage. We just want to help you make an informed decision. And if you like the content on the One Stop Co-op Shop, consider supporting us through Patreon. You get early access to our videos and exclusive videos every month you can't see anywhere else. You can also watch our separate streaming channel for even more great playthroughs and reviews, or listen to our weekly podcast to hear even deeper discussions. And if you want to talk to us directly, feel free to join our Discord. So as I said, this is an app-based game, so I have my wife's iPad running at the same time. There's a lot of narrative elements in here. I'm going to show some of them to kind of show how the narrative goes, but I want to mainly focus on the mechanical combat. It's certainly my favorite part of the game, so I am going to kind of jump back and forth between the two. But in the game, each player will control a hero. In solo, you have to control at least two. They have a miniature, and of course everything's in prototype stage, but it looks pretty good. And they have health. If you run out of health, you get knocked out. They have focus, these little blue gems that give you reroll possibilities, let you move extra, lots of abilities. And they each start out with 4 dice that have varying sides. When you're in the little combat scenarios, you're going to roll these, and they'll give you different actions and like access to actions. But your characters also have these starting skills, and they'll level up into even more. That'll often let you mitigate your luck or change one type of die into another one to match what you need for the round. You'll also get items that have similar abilities. So this dice kind of based combat becomes a pretty cool puzzle. You'll see that as we get into that element. But first, let's say start a new campaign, and we're going to go ahead and do the preview version. So again, everything could change. We've got the rogue and the mercenary. So far, there's 2 other heroes. The forest guard is sort of a quick-moving, mainly range character. The shaman has healing and has kind of this cool mechanic where they build up tokens on their drum and can use them for special powers. And they want us to read letter 1 first. I'm going to leave a timestamp in the video for like when the letter is done and when I'm done reading through all of like the major narration until the first battle. So if you want to jump right to like the battle mechanic, the most mechanically interesting part of the game, feel free to use those timestamps. To the elder druids of the Circle of the Spirits, I write in haste and my words must be brief. It shames me to report I have failed in my task, though I see all too late that there was never any hope of success. The audience with the Ilkral, the Emperor of Kartakol, was a deception from the start. I was a fool not to understand that he is not the kind to meet on any terms but his own. I am kept now as one of the Enelar, the Emperor's consorts. I am well and in good health. Every luxury is lavished upon thee, yet the gardens and chambers of the Imperial Palace are but a great gilded cage. The handmaidens who serve me are also my guardians, rendering an account of my every move. It is not by choice that I've been silent for so many months. By a fortunate coincidence, an opportunity has presented itself for me to send this letter secretly. I do not know when I shall be able to write again, so await no further words from me. Whenever I am able, I intercede on Unsanoin's behalf. I make sure the forest's voice resounds in the palace, just as each of the other Enelar makes herself the voice of her own homeland. It is all my position allows me to do. He listens patiently to my exhortations, yet I fear my words hold little sway with him. He is a magnanimous emperor. There is no doubt he has done much good for his people. He is well loved here in this city of Eosafir that he has made into the pride of all Kaan. In his presence you feel yourself to be standing before something much greater than a man. There is an ambition in him that will not rest until all of Kaan, no, all of Iana, bends the knee to him. He is fate chosen, and he will wreak terrible things. There is no doubt the Okral's eyes have been set on our forest for some time. He asks many questions about our land. Dark schemes are being woven. I intend to do what I can to frustrate these schemes, but I only possess the power to achieve so much. I beseech you, send the bravest champions of the forest to Eosafir in the utmost secret. I have allies here who will find means to bring my word to them. Please make haste, for I fear every passing day brings an inevitable doom closer to our forest. May the ageless wisdom of the Yixetainen guide our way. Nazca. There you go, episode 1 of Fun with Mike trying to read made-up words that he doesn't necessarily know the meaning of. So we're going into Act 1 of 3, although this is again like a preview shortened version of it. Let's read some more text, or again, use the timestamp if you want to skip. These days, all roads in Kaan lead to the city of Eosafir, the capital of the Kartakol Empire. Merchants arrive with the treasures of 100 lands. Adventurers come to turn their fortunes around in a city that grows in wealth and glory by the day. The generosity and ambition of the Ilkral, its immortal emperor, appears boundless. Your journey from the primeval forest has been neither short nor easy, but your mind rings with the desperate words in Nazca's letter. The urgency of your mission makes you restless. Few druids in the primeval forest are as beloved as Nazca. Though she is yet young, many are those who say she is sure to be chief elder someday, so great are her wisdom and love for the forest. Some months ago, she journeyed to Isafir upon the invitation of the Okral. Over the past year, the Okral's troops have ventured deeper into the forest, and his agents have been striving to exert their influence over the tribes of your homeland. Nazca journeyed here to better understand the Okral's ambitions toward the forest. She witnessed for herself the prosperity and security the Kartakol Empire brought its subjects, but also its ruthless ambition, and the obedience it demanded of its people. As her letter revealed, the Okral's invitation was a ruse. Nazca is now his prisoner. This act of violence confirms the Elder's worst fear about the Okral's intentions. It is vital that you rescue Nazca, and that the forest hears what she has learned of the Okral's designs. Now you have arrived in Irsafir carrying her letter under your cloak. Your quest is a secret one. If you are discovered here in the capital of the Empire, Nazca's life as well as yours would be forfeit. Travelers take many roads to the Imperial capital, but they all meet here, at the great caravanserai of Saint Mehabad. You've been to the Circle of the Spirits for the Solstice Festival, when all the tribes of the forest come together. Still, little has prepared you for the crowd of travelers thronging the caravanserai's labyrinth of courtyards, taverns, inns, and stables. As you walk through the main gate leading into the caravanserai, the guards at their stations single you out from the crowd of travelers. "There you are," one of them exclaims. "I told my friends to expect some forest folk coming through the gate. I knew you were coming from a mile away. That's how far your stink carries." The other guards laugh. One of them walks up to get a closer look at you. "And no wonder," he laughs. "Just take a look at yourself. What dead animal is that you're wearing?" A third guard circles you slowly. "We don't get many forest folk coming through here," she says. "A few merchants now and then. Well, I think it's wonderful if forest folk like yourselves wish to learn of our civilized ways. Might I suggest you begin with bathing and scented oils?" Behind her, the other guards redouble their laughter. "All right, do you stand up for yourself or put your heads down and keep walking? This is supposed to be sort of a stealth mission, right? So let's suck it up." You decide it's best to let the matter go and not cause a scene. When you put your head down and move on, the guards' laughter increases. Behind you, you hear one of them shout, "Hey, once you've grasped the idea of bathing, you can move on to learning to speak when spoken to." You keep walking and let their laughter fade away behind you. Past the guards and the gate, you find yourself in a wide, dusty plaza packed with travelers milling in every direction. Under the colonnades that surround the plaza, you can see stables, taverns, inns, and shops. Everything a weary traveler could need to restore themselves after a tiring journey. Covered passageways lead to other courtyards and plazas. You are not even in the city proper, and already you feel like this labyrinth could swallow you whole. You consider your next move. You are a stranger here, and you know no one in Iosafir. You decide that no matter what you will do next, you need to find lodging and get a good meal in your bellies. You're about to head to one of the inns around the plaza, but a young girl steps out of the crowd right in front of you. She's carrying a massive bundle of flowers and is wearing more flowers in her hair. You prepare to send the flower seller girl away. Before you can say anything, she speaks in a surprisingly cheerful voice. "Are you the people from the forest? I have a message for the people from the forest." Do you say that you are or say that you are not? Well, hopefully she's not going to betray us, so we'll say that we are. The girl squeals. "I knew it was you. I just knew it. Here is the message. A friend of Nazca is waiting for you at the tea shop in the alley behind the Tipsy Tarask." The Tarask, okay. Before you can reply, she hands you a sprig of jasmine flowers and disappears back into the crowd. You realize this might well be a trap, but if what the girl says is true, making contact with an ally who could help you get your bearings in the city is more than you had hoped for. You wander the passages and courtyards of the caravanserai. You have no idea where or what the Tipsy Tarask might be until you see the sign for a tavern, bearing the image of the legendary beast after a few too many drinks. Behind the tavern, you see the entrance to a shady alleyway. At the far end of the alley, a couple of low tables and a faded sign confirm that you have, indeed, found the tea shop you were looking for. You approach the tea shop, but quickly realize something is wrong. You hear the sound of a commotion inside the shop. A moment later, a band of militia guards emerge from the tea shop, their weapons at the ready. They are holding a man captive, an elf in robes too fine to be a common traveler. As the guards lead the man out of the tea shop, he catches sight of you. His eyes light up with understanding. "Friends," he shouts, "run! Save yourselves!" The guards had not paid you any attention at first, but now they turn to face you. Thanks for nothing, elf. You do not need your apparent new ally to tell you twice. You turn and run out of the alley. Behind you, you hear the guards cry out, and heavy footsteps follow you. You run past the tavern and the stables, across the courtyard and down a covered passageway. You dash by a particularly bright-eyed cat, who looks at you with a perplexed expression. You turn into a narrow alleyway, but you find yourself at a dead end. Even before you turn back, you hear the guards come to a halt behind you. Your only hope to avoid capture is to fight your way out. All right, so now we're going to get into the meat of the game, the combat mechanics. We get an objective card that'll tell us what we're trying to do and how we can win the scenario. You tend to advance either way, but of course better things happen if you fulfill your objectives. We also also are instructed of which cards and which tokens of enemy types to get ready. We're going to have some guard dogs, bowmen, grunts, guards, and also one lieutenant with more health leading them. And we have other tokens on the next page. They're going to show us the layout for the battle, but let me grab these things. All right, then we get the layout of the map. Now, I will say, even though they have like very specific shapes, it doesn't actually matter if you want to like set things up a little bit faster, because each of these is just a single space of movement. Like these are tiles that hold things, and one movement will get you in there. So as long as you have, in this case, 6 tiles that connect in the same way, like have the same adjacencies, it doesn't really matter if you have the exact same shapes. I'll search for them, but just to kind of lay that out, setup can be pretty quick that way. And I've got that all set up. I'll show you in a second. And this one has no special rules, of course. So the app actually isn't used that heavily except for the story elements. So it shows you setup. You can do a timer for turns if you need one. But the main thing is it keeps track of the number of rounds because you only have a limited number of rounds to try to complete your objectives and defeat enemies. You can extend it by 1 by suffering corruption, rolling this die and suffering the consequences. So if 4 rounds is not enough and I don't like where I am, I can suffer some stuff to take a 5th round. But the main thing the app does is it reminds you about the turn sequence, and it tells you for each round how you're going to place your initiative tokens. We get to pick between our characters who's going to be first in this case and who's going to be second, but we'll have an enemy reaction which will be randomized by the app in between those two. But before we decide player order, we get to roll our action dice and see what our results are. Then we can decide what order it makes sense for the players to go in. So each player gets to roll 4 dice generally, unless they're stunned, then they roll 3 for that round. But as you level up and get items and stuff, you can get access to more than 4 dice, but you always pick 4 for a given round. Yellow tend to be a mix of range combat, movement, and melee attack. Red tends to be very heavily focused on melee. All right, so the mercenary gets a regular melee attack and a critical melee attack, and then I think these are called focus results. They're used like a lot more significantly by the magic users. The negative side of this is that she did not get any movement, but there are ways to get free movement and also spend your focus for movement. Now, there are a few mitigation options the players always have access to. First of all, if they ever roll 3 or more of the exact same die face like this, then they can change one of those dice to any result of their choice. And secondly, each die does have some miss results. Now, getting a few of these isn't too bad because most of the characters have skills that actually transform them into something useful. But if you get 1 or more misses, you can spend one of your, again, I think this might be called focus or something. I'm calling everything focus, apparently. You can spend one of these blue cubes to re-roll all of your misses. So that is an option if you get a bunch. Usually not worth it if you only have 1 miss, but if you get like 2 or 3, maybe it'll save your turn. All right, and our rogue, wow. So she got a ton of movement, but not as much attacking. Well, this will be interesting. All right, so with that in mind, I think I'm going to put the mercenary first, since it looks like she'll be able to charge in and smack some people. And then I want to wait until after the enemy reaction before I have the rogue run in and attack. Now, each character also has the option for a free move at the end of the preparation phase before we go into the actual combat for the turn and the actions for the turn. If you move from a place with any number of enemies, you take 1 automatic damage. You have to move down 1 of your hearts, exhaust it. But here, I think it makes sense for both of us to charge forward. Although the mercenary does have the defender special ability that says if she does not use her free move, she gains a free shield result, which can cancel 1 damage during the round and also sometimes be used to activate other abilities. But she's not going to take advantage of that because she didn't get any movement otherwise. Now, we also get to assign aggro between our characters each turn. Generally, enemies, not always, but mostly, are going to go toward the person with the higher aggro when both are in range. So I guess here, let's give the mercenary. She has way more life, the higher aggro, and the rogue, the lower number. And with the first preparation phase done, we can actually jump in to combat. So we're just going to go ahead and resolve the turn. We'll click the enemy reaction, and all it will do is tell us which type of enemy activates, and then do our other turn. Again, you're not really in the app much when you're doing combat. It just keeps track of a few things. So what can you do when it's your turn? Well, first of all, you can use your dice. They each have basic functions. So a regular sword symbol and a critical sword symbol both just do 1 damage to an enemy in the same space as you on the same tile. Criticals can sometimes be used to activate other abilities, but inherently by themselves are not any better. There's also regular and critical arrow icons. Those can do 1 damage only to an enemy on an adjacent tile, not in your tile. And finally, movement icons let you move 1 space to an adjacent tile. And you do not take damage for those moves. Now, some enemies will prevent you from moving, but generally speaking, you can do this without consequence. whereas the free move, again, will hurt you if you move away from an enemy. And then these little Celtic knot wands, which are indeed called focus. I just looked it up. The blue cubes are actually called energy. Those have no inherent use except for interacting with like treasure chests and things on the board, but they'll often be used by skills. Like, for example, the mercenary, unfortunately, doesn't have any feet, but if she did, she could use one of the focus results and a foot to turn into a foot followed by a melee attack. But yeah, here she just kind of has 2 dead dice, sadly. Now let's look at the enemies briefly. We'll get into how they activate in a moment when we see their reaction and their end of the turn actions. But for now, we're just going to look at their life. The guard dogs only have 1 life each. The red grunts have 2. And they have the special ability Frontliner that says any bow results have to be assigned to them first. So you can freely kill people in melee, but if you're shooting into a space with red grunts, then you have to hit them first. The leader special ability is going to move grunts in to guard them. And then the blocker, the green guy, will stop heroes from leaving their space. The grunts have 2, the bowmen have 2 life, the guard has 3, the lieutenant also has 3. Now you'll see the lieutenant has a little bleeding symbol. That means damage stays around for him. So if I do like 1 damage in this round and then 2 more damage in the next round, we'll defeat him. But for the guard, the bowman, and the grunt, you have to kill them in a given round, otherwise they heal fully, so you can't carry damage over. Oh, geez, I almost forgot to say, what are my objectives? They want me to defeat the militia lieutenant, that is the purple guy all the way at the end of the map, and they want me to leave through exit A, which is with the lieutenant all the way over there. Now, basically, if you don't get all the way to the exit, you're going to take extra damage running there when time runs out, again, unless you take an extra round by taking corruption. Alternatively, I could choose to escape through exit B at the end of the battle, if that's closer to me and I won't take damage, but then I wouldn't complete the objectives and something different would happen. So all that being said, the mercenary's got 2 attack, 2 focus she can't use, and 2 skills she can't use. She doesn't have any misses to convert into defense. She doesn't have a move to use charge. Characters can, once per turn, spend 1 focus to gain a free move, but that's not really going to help much here. So to go ahead and minimize the damage we're about to take, the mercenary will go ahead and defeat the 2 guard dogs, but leave the grunt untouched and won't move. All right, now we go into enemy reactions. We click here and it says, hey, the bowman is reacting. And ignore the card abilities that are indicated here. We have a different version of the bowman because this is kind of like a tutorial fight. We would click here if there's only 1 bowman on the board if they were already dead, because then they wouldn't activate. But we're going to go ahead and activate him and then continue. Our reaction is done. And to talk about how enemies activate, it's pretty straightforward. They have numbers under different actions, either 1 or 2 icons, and they'll use the leftmost one that has the proper range for one of the hero characters. So the bowman will shoot at 1 hero for a single point of range damage that is within 1 range of them. The guard dog, if it's in a space with somebody, will attack them for 1 melee damage. If they're 1 away, they'll move into the person's space and attack them for 1 damage. And if they're 2 away, they'll just move 1 space toward them. So they hunt you down. Now, eventually, most of the enemies are like that, but right now these are all like simplified versions except for the guard dog. So usually the rest of these guys would be like moving and doing more interesting stuff. But in this scenario, they all just kind of sit and watch us, except for the guard dogs. So the bowman is unfortunately adjacent to both of my characters. Now, there is no icon like this targeting icon on their action. If there was, we'd have to follow the aggro rules, so the mercenary would have to take the damage. But since there's not, we get free choice since they're both at 1 range. But whatever, I'll have the mercenary take the damage anyway. Oh, and actually, never mind. I did not have a choice because the rogue has the silent step ability. She has this unique mechanic where she can be hidden, but then she has some skills that will spend this token, become unhidden to like do awesome abilities, and then she can get it back if she's not in a space with anybody. She can hide again. But for silent step, while she's hidden, only minions in her zone can target her, so the bowman could only have shot the mercenary anyway. All right, but now we're back to the rogue's activation. And for her special abilities, I already talked about hiding. Her acrobat ability means that if she spends a energy to move, she can move 2 spaces instead of 1. And she has a roll to change a miss into a movement. And silent step you already saw. And she's got a single melee attack and then a ton of moves. Now, I will note that because this is a move/focus, she can do either one. And that means that it is not the identical face to these other 2, which means you can't take advantage of the thing that lets her change 1 die to a type of her choice. So kind of unlucky there, because I don't really think we need a billion movement here. And actually, looking at it now, I'm not quite sure what she should do. Because the only person she could kill, or at least do like meaningful damage to, is the guard dog or the lieutenant. But if she runs over there, all the enemies activate in a second, so we're going to get attacked en masse. Yeah, this is really a bummer that she didn't get 1 more attack, and then she could have killed the grunt. And once you kill everybody, you can pick up the gems in your location. That'll give you money to buy skill upgrades and items and stuff later. She doesn't have enough damage to move in here. If she runs over here and kills that guy, then we'll open ourselves up to more damage. Although I guess he's going to hunt us down, so maybe that's the right thing to do anyway. Sure. She'll go ahead and go 1, 2, use 2 or 3 movement, and then defeat the guard dog. All right, so then we activate every enemy, and it shows you the order. This is a consistent color order throughout the game. So if there were any guard dogs left, there aren't, they would activate, then archers, then grunts, then, what was this guy, guard, and then finally the lieutenant. So in this case, the bowman will shoot the mercenary for 1 damage, the grunt will attack the mercenary, this grunt will attack the rogue, and then the lieutenant has a special ability to move 1 adjacent red unit into their space to guard them. So there we go. Way more damage than I should be taking on the first round. This is a bit embarrassing. And finally, we go into cleanup. We mark if any of the heroes were defeated. And we also mark killed enemies. This just lets the app know not to activate them in the reaction phase. And we also can mark if we picked up any gems and things. And this is something I'm not too clear about. In Vengeance, I think you had to end your turn in a space to pick up gems. But it makes it sound like in the rules for this one that you can just pick them up whenever. So it might be totally wrong. I might have a a rules correction on the screen right now that you're seeing, but past Mike doesn't know that. So for now, I'm going to play that I can pick up the gems whenever, and I'll just mark them off later, but I'm not entirely sure. All right, so that takes us into round 2, and once again, we'll have an enemy reaction in the middle. But we get to roll, and hopefully it won't be god-awful like it was last time. That looks a little better, and okay, this is, I think, better, kind of. Yeah, they can at least both do 2 damage. That's already a huge upgrade. And I will give them both the same aggro, I guess. I mean, I guess the rogue is hurt more. Well, none of the enemies even have an aggro, so you really can just forget about this. Let's get rid of the aggro for this battle. And I'm not going to have either of them use the free move, which does mean the mercenary gets a shield. And with that in mind, the fact that the mercenary can cancel the first damage against him, I'm going to have the rogue go first. And they're going to use a range attack to hurt the bowman for 1. They'll use their roll ability to turn this miss into a move and move in with the guy, and then they'll use their 1 melee result to finish him off. Yay, no more range attacks for us. Now the rogue does have 1 movement left. The question is, do we want to go into a fracas with these guys, or do we want to just push towards the boss? I think we'll push toward the boss since we've already been hurt quite a lot. Oh, in terrible luck, the app did activate the grunts for the reaction, which means they get a second activation this turn. The mercenary can block the 1 damage he's doing to her with the shield. This would go away at the end of the round, by the way. But it does mean she doesn't have it for any other damage she might incur. Although, actually, I don't think she'll get any. These 2 attacks, that's an attack or a move, will finish him off. And again, we're going to play that we can get the gems immediately. Is that right? Who knows? This counts as 2 gems, by the way. And it goes in a little shared party backpack. You divide up the money amongst yourselves and buy things that way. And she's got 2 moves left. So yeah, if we're not trying to kill those guys, we'll just go over here. I will say if you complete all the objectives and kill every enemy on the board, if you have a blessed little combat, then you do get a bonus of 2 extra gems for money, which is certainly nice. But again, I'm a little bit worried about getting our butt kicked here. All right, and then enemy actions, but this time it's nothing. Nobody has range, nobody has movement. This guy already recalled the only red person available. But these guys have 5 life between them. So unless we roll super high attacks next turn, we'll probably be suffering some attacks from them. All right, so we're in round 3 of 4. Let's see if we can get those big attacks. All right, that's 2 attacks for the mercenary. Oh, I forgot to check for charge, but this time she definitely has charge. That focus result and move result will let her turn into a move and attack. So she can do 3 damage this turn. That's killing the boss straight up, and she gets the move she needs to get in there. Let's see if the rogue can do as well as that. 2 damage, so she can finish off the grunt in there. I guess the question is who's going to react and get a free attack on us. Well, actually, you know what? I realize we don't care because the mercenary is not going to take a free move, so she will get her defense, and the rogue will be using an archery attack and then moving in and finishing the grunt off, so she doesn't want a free move either. So I'm definitely going to have the mercenary go first. She'll finish off the lieutenant because he does +1 damage. Oh, and does care about aggro, so I guess it would matter a little bit. But yeah, he can do 2 damage with an attack, so yeah, the mercenary will go first, use the charge. Again, that's converting a focus and a move into a move and then an attack. The arrow means that one has to be before the other. So that gets him in, and that's 1 damage, 2/3 to the lieutenant. Again, the grunt does not guard the lieutenant except against range damage from outside of space. So boom, dead. And yikes, glad we did this the way we did because the lieutenant is already dead. Yes. So they'll activate somebody else, and it's the guard, but he's all the way back there, so we don't care. And then the rogue, as planned, will do a range attack on the grunt. Move in with him, do a melee attack that finishes him off. So we are at the end, a round early. It sounds like maybe we could have killed those guys and gotten 4 extra gold. I'm kind of regretting that now, but we certainly don't have time to run back and defeat both of them without suffering, so we'll just let it ride. So yeah, nothing to really worry about here. Yep, great, okay. Done. End of round. So do we want to take a corruption roll to play an extra round? We would each have to roll this corruption die. It can have these corruption cards, which are tough to get rid of and kind of give you like negatives, like hamper your dice use and stuff. Nope. All right, so did we accomplish stuff? We defeat the militia lieutenant, yes. We can trace a path to exit A. Let me show you how that works. So at the end of each scenario, all the characters still on the map have to decide which exit they're going to use when there are options. And they all have to trace a path to it. But for every enemy in their space, in the exit space, and in the path they would take, they have to suffer damage. So like if we were here, and if we also hadn't killed people here, we would get punished a lot. But as we are now, we don't take any damage at all. We just freely leave the alley because nobody's in our way. Oh, gain 2 gold worth of gems. And we got 2 more that just kind of remind you how much loot you got. And that's it. That's an example of a whole combat. We'll probably do one more, I think, because they are pretty fast. Let's get back into some narrative. Again, if you just want to skip past this and see the next combat, feel free to use the timestamps. You dash into the plaza beyond the alley. You don't stop as you move through the caravanserai's arcades and hallways, making yourself disappear in the bustling crowds. When you are sure you've lost any pursuers, you pause to consider your next move. Whoever the elf in the tea shop was, he seemed to know who you were, and it seems he is no friend of the Empire. You still have no idea if he is as much of an ally as he claims to be, but you have no other lead on how to get in touch with Nazca. There is one small problem. You have no idea where the guards dragged him off to. How will you try to find where the man in the tea shop was taken? Do you use your charm to get information at a tavern, stealthily follow a guard, or ask around to see if there were any witnesses to the man's arrest? Oh, and sorry, before I show you how skill tests work, after each battle you get 1 life and 1 energy back if you spent any. So the rogue is fully healed, the mercenary is still a bit hurt. And the rogue also gets her hide token back automatically after each battle. Now, this is a skill test. You're going to have keywords on your characters that help you out with different tests. Those will give you extra dice in your skill rolls. So the mercenary has strength and also resilience from her defensive stance. The rogue has speed and stealth from silent step and athletics. And by the way, I didn't explain these icons. This one is kind of always on. This is usable once per round. And there are some that are usable once per combat. They have a 1x on them. So there's nothing that makes us especially good at charm or especially good at investigation, but stealth seems to match the rogue pretty well. You keep walking until you spot a pair of guards moving purposefully through the crowd. You reason that if you follow them, they might lead you to a guard post where prisoners are kept. Okay, so we have to make a speed stealth story test. Success on 3, major success on 4. Let's see what that means. So you always get 1 skill die for a test. You get an additional 1 for each keyword you have from the test that matches. In this case, I have both speed and stealth. So I have 3 dice. 4 is the max, by the way. And you can also add another die by spending an energy. I don't think I need that with 3 of them. Now the dice have 3 sides with a 1 face, 2 sides with a 2 face, 1 side with a 3, 1 side with a 4, and I think 1 side with this little kind of joining symbol here. And I'll go ahead and roll and then explain how you see how you did. Okay, so I roll, and what I do is I pick one of the dice to be my base value, in this case a 2, and then for each other die that showed the same value, it adds 1 to my total, and also joining symbols, I forget what these are called, always add 1 to your total. So if this had been my result, I would get 2 plus 1 plus 1, 4 total, because I didn't have that die. Here I get only 3, 2 plus 1 from that die. This die doesn't help me at all because it doesn't match the result of that one. So 3 was a success, 4 was a major success. We just have the basic version. You trail the guards at a distance. The noise of the crowd dies away behind you as you descend into the caravanserai's underbelly, where imperial spies and agents cross paths with assassins and cut purses. The guards arrive at a doorway under a lantern and a sign bearing the imperial insignia. The door is flanked by more guards on either side. Suddenly you see a large, bright-eyed cat before you. You realize this is the same cat you had seen earlier. Is it following you? The cat tilts its head backwards, moves a few paces away from you, and turns to look back at you. It beckons with its head again. It clearly wants you to follow it. Do you follow the cat or ignore the cat? I mean, my wife doesn't like cats, but I do, so sure. You follow the cat away from the guard station. It leads you into a shadowy alley behind a stable that stinks of camel, and stops at a dead end. It sits down and begins to lick itself. Just as you are about to give up and return to the guard post, a woman's voice speaks to you. Thank you for having accepted my summons. You do not know who I am, and for now it must remain that way. But there is something I wish to discuss with you. You realize the voice is coming from behind a wicker screen, down by your feet at the end of the alley. You can't make out anything through the screen. Now, do I ask the speaker to show herself or keep listening? It seems like it'd be kind of rude, right? If you want to be behind a screen, stay behind a screen. The voice continues speaking.
I belong to a people older than the Kartakol Empire. We have seen the Ilkral's growing power and become gravely concerned. An emperor who has cheated death and achieved immortality through secret means. This does not bode well. He holds great ambitions and scours all the lands of Kaan for artifacts of ancient power. One such artifact arrived in Iasafir earlier today. It has not yet left the caravanserai. It is currently in the rooms of an imperial custom official under heavy guard. Soon an escort of elite soldiers will arrive to take it to the imperial palace and into the Ilkral's grasp. Forest folk, I know where you have come from. I know the Ilkral has his eye on your homeland. If you steal the artifact and prevent it from falling into the Ilkral's hands, you will earn our trust, and we can move together against him.
You consider what to do. If you agree to steal the artifact for this mysterious voice, there is no telling what will happen to the man from the tea shop in the meantime. And yet, perhaps this person could be of aid. Oh, geez. Well, I'm gonna go rescue the guy. I think I did the artifact last time I played. The voice goes quiet for a moment before it speaks again.
I am sure you have your reasons, but I am saddened by your decision. I suspect we would have much to gain from working together. Who knows? Perhaps we will meet again somehow. Iasafir is a big city, but all paths within it are tangled together.
You retrace your steps and return to the guard post where the man in the tea shop is being held. You observe the door and the two guards standing outside and consider how to proceed. You wait a moment and receive just the stroke of luck you need. From further down the passageway, a shout rings out, followed by the sound of a struggle. The guards of the door rush to investigate, leaving the entrance unguarded. You make a careful approach, open the door, and slip inside. You find yourself in a dank, deserted room. Stairs descend to an underground chamber. You hear raised voices from below. A sturdy shield leans against the wall. You pick it up and test its weight. It feels reassuring. So we got our first item, a card 200 Militia Buckler. So here's what items look like. This shows what type of item it is. In this case, it's an offhand item, so I couldn't use it with a two-handed weapon. This is how much it costs, but there's not a store, so we get it for free. In this case, it is a one-time use to turn a miss into a shield. My first instinct would be to give it to the mercenary, but she can already turn a miss into a shield once per round, so it seems to make more sense for the rogue to have it, because unless the mercenary rolls like the worst roll ever with 2 misses or more, it's not going to matter. You prepare yourself for a fight and rush down the stairs. You find a series of small chambers ahead of you, sparsely furnished, apart from a heavy chest that catches your eye. Ooh. Darilos, wait, is that the elf? Did it ever tell us our name? Well, again, this is still in development, of course. Darilos is bound and lying on the floor of a cell at the end of the farthest chamber. But between you and him, the rooms are crawling with guards. They look at you in surprise for a moment, but quickly spring into action. All right, now the app is kind of pushing me through some things to kind of speed things up. So I get 2 food tokens. Those can be used between combat encounters to heal 1 health each. I get another item, an officer's yataghan. I think it's a sword. We get 7 gold, or each player takes 7 gold. Ooh, nice. That's 14 for us put together. And then we're going to have a combat with more interesting stuff in a second. Okay, and the officer's yataghan gives a very simple thing. It lets you have an extra red die if you would like to sub that in for one of your 4 dice. So again, even though you might think that would be more of a warrior thing, I think it's actually more useful for the rogue because the warrior already has 3 red dice out of 4. But if the rogue is like in a space with a lot of enemies and knows that melee is going to be the way to go, then having that option is great. Although just to clarify again, the rogue would only pick 4 dice per round and roll them. She does not benefit from the 5th die like with extra actions. All right, so like I said, the app is kind of skipping through things for the preview. So we skipped the second battle. It was still a bit of a tutorial one, so not a big deal. But now I'm going to show you kind of the main other mechanic of the game, which is resting. Basically, you get a certain number of rest tokens. You have a bunch of options, each one requiring a rest token, and you just spend them to do stuff. So like I could go to the blacksmith to get some items. I could go to the training hall to buy some new skills. I could go to the hideout to heal and recover energy. And then you have side quests that will sometimes like take you down little narrative passages or even into another battle. So first let's do the training hall. We've got 18 gold total to spend, and each character has their own unique deck. But they do advance in levels, so you don't have access to anything except the most basic cards at first. And let me show you some of the cool options and combos in the game. So the cost of a skill to buy is here. The number of times you can use it, like before, is here. So some of these are only single use per battle. And you can only have 6 skills equipped to a character at a time, so you can't just like buy infinitely. So Head Chopper takes a focus and a critical and turns it into an attack and another attack with +1 damage. It's pretty great. So that turns what would have been 1 damage into 3 total. Although there's only 1 use per scenario. Double Strike is also once per scenario, turns a critical into 2 basic attacks. Now, this might look strictly worse than this one, but notice that the attack with +1 damage here is just the icon, whereas this has the die symbol. This means that this is a result, they call it, that could be used to activate another ability. Like, for example, I could turn the crit into 2 swords, and then use one of those swords to get a crit back with aimed blow. Whereas with this one, even though I'm doing 1 more damage, I don't have that flexibility. This icon can only act as the basic attack action. Wild Blow, a miss turns into an attack, and you can keep using it every turn. That's pretty great, although the Mercenary already has something to use misses with. Relentless, during the cleanup phase, if you didn't suffer any damage this round, move 1 zone, ignoring terrain and enemy restrictions. Pretty great, because it also means that she can more easily take advantage of her not free moving, getting her a shield, and then that shield will make it less likely she'll take damage, which will make it more likely she can use Relentless again. Protector, you spend a shield to negate 1 damage suffered by a hero in the same zone, only once per battle. Although it's only 3, but still, that's a little bit weird. A shield wall, this one's cool. During cleanup phase, you may keep 1 shield token. So normally they go away at the end of each round, but this lets you kind of build them up a little bit. Battle Sense, a focus into a move or a move into a focus. I mean, that's real good to kind of balance out my my luck. Slash turns a critical into a 2 damage attack. Parry changes up to 2 focus into that many shields. That's also awesome for mitigation. And aimed blow turns a basic attack into a crit. Does not matter literally at all until you get some other skills that care about crits like double strike. So you know what? I think I'll go for the boring but powerful mitigation option. Battle Sense and Parry for 6. So once per round, I can change a focus into a foot or a foot into a focus. And then I can also change focus into shields. So like if I really don't need to move much, I can just bulk up with a ton of shields and make it almost impossible for me to get hurt. But that's 6 of our 18, leaving us with 5, 7, 9, 11, 12. I'm sorry, the values are right over here. Yellow is 1, red is 2, blue is 5. And then let's look through the rogue's options. Right now, she can't use her hidden token for basically anything, so we want to make that happen. So Throat Slash lets her use her hidden token, and this is any die that is not a miss to do a melee attack +2, but then, of course, the hidden token is gone. If she's in a space with no enemies once per round, she can spend an energy to get the hidden token back, or it comes back at the end of each fight. But still, that's pretty good. Tripwire, if you're hidden, negate an enemy reaction in your zone. Ooh, that is great, and it's every time. You don't have to even spend the hidden? That's pretty amazing. Like, if she runs into, like, a space with a grunt, she can just cancel the grunt attacking. Although now the mercenary has a lot of shields. Maybe we don't need it. Double Blade Rush. This is tough to make happen. You gotta lose your hidden token, and spend a focus, and 2 feet. I think unless I have, like, a way to get those results, this wouldn't be a good pick yet. But a move and 2 attack, when you didn't have almost any for any of your dice, is pretty ridiculous. Killing Spree. Spend any die except a miss. After a kill, deal 1 damage to an enemy in your zone. Has to be pretty specific, like where we are, but that's still pretty nice. From the Shadows. Ooh, spend your hidden to just move and attack. That's great. Infiltrate. If you're hidden, never suffer damage during a free move and only suffer a maximum of 1 damage when exiting combat. That's pretty nice too. Knife Kata. Ooh, a focus and a ranged attack for 2 melee. That's pretty good. Vanish. You may recover your high token if there are enemies in your zone, but it still costs an energy. I don't know if that's that great. Sneak, if you're hidden, ignore minion abilities during your turn, and collect, and that's just ongoing, and then once per turn, collect a gem in your zone, even if enemies are present. That's kind of nice, too. I like that. And then a backflip. A move becomes a move and then a defense. So it just kind of gives you a free defense as long as you have a move. Huh. Oh, man, there are a lot of good ones in here. For now, I think I'm going to go with Tripwire. That seems like consistently useful. And then from the Shadows, I just want to have something I can use my hidden token for that's cool. I was between that and Throat Slash. Throat Slash gives me more consistent damage. Well, it does. You know what? But it's 5 instead of 4. Yeah, okay, I'm getting Throat Slash. Never mind. So that is 8, down to just 4 left, which might not be enough to buy anything good at the blacksmith, but let's check it out. Oh, and sorry, I was supposed to, like, use the training hall in the app, so let's do it now. Yes, we're going there. Oh, and that's it. Okay, so here they actually show us. Okay, we've got an adamantium shield. That sounds way better than it should. So it's 2, it's an offhand, and it just, once per battle, gives us a shield. Like, not even the militia buckler where we need to, like, spend a miss to do it. We just get a shield. The Step Raider's bow gives access to a blue die for more range attack. That's pretty cool. Is just your main die. I guess somehow you use the bow with one hand. Does cost 3, but doesn't give you anything else. Or the Tilly Steel Dagger. Ooh. Offhand costs 2, but once per battle you can change any die into a melee. Those are both good. What do I have left? Only 4. And the question is, can I use the dagger and the shield together? I mean, I would rule that I can, because I think even though it says that it's an offhand weapon, I think main weapons can't be used in offhand, but I think it'd be silly to say that an offhand can't be used in a main hand. So maybe I'll get the shield and the dagger, and we'll give it to the mercenary. She doesn't have anything fun yet. All right, we have 2 time left. We can go to a witch's hut, go hear an emperor's speech, or go to a market. Now let's try the witch's hut out. And I'm not going to read through all of this one because I do just want to get to the final battle before this video gets too long and then go to my final thoughts. So I'll summarize what happened after I've gone through it all. Oh, and actually, that was super fast. I should have just read it. Basically, we're looking for a witch that has stood up to the Ilkral and now is in hiding. We're crossing a marsh. It asked if we had the survival skill, and we didn't. And then it just went into this battle. So we have the objective, the witch's hut. We're going against some saboteurs, some recruits, some bruisers, and some assassins. Oh, and a bounty hunter. Oof, 4 life. The bruisers have 3, so these are going to be different cards. And again, now I think they might actually have their abilities. Well, let's see if they do. Well, some of them do. The saboteurs can move a little bit. The assassin will actually hunt you down, like the dogs. But the bruiser's still just staying put. The recruit's still just staying put. Ooh, but the gang boss will actually come and attack us. Cool. And woof, we got a lot of stuff. These are objective tokens. Usually they'll be guarded by enemies, but then once you defeat the enemy, you can pick them up. This is a no range attack icon. It means that you can't make range attacks in the direction that is X'd out. And got some other stuff, so let's get into this. All right, and ooh, we've got a bit of a more circuitous attack route this time. This will be interesting. And our objectives this time, we have to interrogate the main boss. So we defeat them, but we have to be in their zone, so not with a range attack. Then we perform a difficulty 3 test. 1 die plus 1 more for each objective token we've collected, up to 4 dice again. And also leave through any exit. Well, that part's easy. And secondary objective, defeat enemies with an objective on them and grab the objective from them. So we're going to try to steal from as many of these guys as we can. All right, so we're all set up. We'll get into what our enemies do later. I mean, the big thing is the bruiser, once again, will take range hit for other people. Neither of them moves. The gang boss targets lowest aggro and pulls green people toward them. The saboteur just runs away toward the boss. That's what the little red icon means if we're in their space, so they can keep plinking us. And we can't kill the assassin until she's alone in her space. Nasty. And here's most of the board except for 2 people up at the top. You'll see that some people are on top of objectives until they are defeated. You cannot pick those up. And also this tile has difficult terrain. That means to move out of it, you need to spend 1 extra die, any type except a miss, that little question mark icon, plus the actual movement, and you can't free move out of it for the same reason. All right, so let's go right into it. I think I'm going to lean a little bit on the red for my rogue at first, since we got a lot of enemies right next to us. Okay, we got some stuff over there and some stuff over there. They each got 1 miss. Not going to spend a reroll it because they each have ways to use it. Oh, interesting. The rogue got no melee, but 2 ranged attacks. And the mercenary charge could give her a 2nd melee attack, and then she can also do some defense. And yeah, definitely going to make her have the higher aggro. Although, again, only the assassin and the gang boss cares, and the gang boss actually goes for lower aggro, so we might want to kind of reverse stuff. We'll have the rogue be the lower aggro here. And in terms of order, I don't think it matters a ton. So I think I'll have the rogue go first. So she'll use roll to turn this into a foot. So she's got 2 foot and 2 range attacks. Not going to use throat slash yet. That's a later game thing. And she's just going to go ahead and double plink the saboteur. They have range attacks, so now we don't have to worry about that. Now she could move in, but she just exposed herself to attacks from these recruits. Although, never mind, she's got tripwire, so she can be in a space with them and then just negate their action if they activate. Now, the gang boss, if we're 1 away, will move in and attack us, which would bring them into close proximity, but I don't think I really want that. The blue guys can do range attacks. The stealth assassin will hunt us down. All of which is to say, I think the rogue will just move a single spot up. I don't want to right there having the gang boss come in and attack. Okay, and the reaction was the assassin. If I'm 0 away, she'll attack strong. If I'm 1 away, she'll move and attack. If I'm 2 away, she'll move once. But if I'm more than 2 away, which I am right now, I'm 3 away, then she doesn't do anything. So she just hangs out. So that was nice. All right, and now our mercenary. I should have said I used the 2 food they gave me to heal her. So she'll go ahead and turn this with defensive stance into another shield. Does she need to? Later on in her leveling, she gets stuff that lets her turn shields like into attack, like shield bashes and that kind of stuff. Okay, and then, yeah, I was going to do, what was it? Battle sense. So, oh no, not battle sense. Charge. Focus, move, turns into a move, and then an attack, and then I got the 2nd attack here. Although, I guess without a 2nd attack, that doesn't do very much. Well, whatever. She'll move in here and kill the recruit. They only have 1 life each. Okay, then the enemies do their stuff, but again, right now, only the saboteurs will move if we're in their space. Otherwise, they'll just do a range attack, so that's nothing. The assassin's too far away to do anything, and the gang boss is also too far away. If we were within 1, they would move up and attack us, but as it is, they don't do anything. So that was a pretty quick, simple round. Now we want to interrogate the boss and get as many objectives as we can. We don't have to go to like the far corners of the world, but we can if we need to. And we can't do range attacks across this space. All right, so all the mercenary shields go away, sadly, but let's. I'm going to roll the same dice for the rogue. Let's get into it again. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. Well, at least I've got battle sense to change some of those focuses into attacks. And I can also do charge. So I'm going to get like 2 attack out of it, but it's not great. Now, I can use my dagger once per battle to get an extra attack if we really need the damage. Okay, and ooh, the rogue got 3 melee attacks if she wants them and a move. Loving that. Still haven't gotten a 3 of a kind for any of these rolls, but that's okay. So I think it makes most sense for the rogue to go first again. She can run in here, defeat this guy, use the tripwire to stop him, and then we can get the money pretty quickly. I guess she could go to the difficult terrain since she has better movement and we'll have an easier time getting out. Yeah, you know, let's do that. So 1 move to get in. It doesn't cost anything extra. Just show the dice. There's that 1 move. And then she's not using any of her abilities this turn. She's just doing 3 melee. That kills the bruiser straight up. That means we get his objectives. That'll give us an extra die against the boss and 1 out of 4 for our side objective. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I'm dumb. I should not have assumed the enemy action actually came first this turn. But it was the boss, and we weren't within 1 of that space, so doesn't really matter. All right, so now everything I said happens. Oh, but wait a second. I forgot. Tripwire only negates reactions, not regular actions. So, crud. I guess she is going to get hit. Unless I send the mercenary in? Should I, maybe? Well, I mean, 1 damage is not the end of the world. We heal 1 for free anyway. Although, what else is the mercenary going to do? Oh, I didn't even decide whether I want to take a free move or not. With these dice, I can get way too much move. So yeah, I think I'll get a shield instead of free moving. Which actually means maybe I'll try to bring the boss down. And hey, what the heck? Might as well start hurting the boss, right? So I'll do Battle Sense to turn this into a move. Move in here. Use my 1 regular attack, kill this guy. And I'll use Charge with my remaining Focus and Move. Move in here, do 1 damage to the boss. And remember, that actually matters because bosses keep their damage on them. So he's only got 3 life now. And you know what the heck? The boss is about to attack me for 2 damage, so I know I can use the shield. So let's go ahead and flip the Adamantian Shield to get a free block this turn. So when the boss attacks, I won't get hurt. But sadly, the rogue is going to get hurt by that guy. We're still not in range of the Saboteur and the Assassin. So it's just the boss, and they're attacking for 2 damage, but we block it both with our shields, yeah. Right, so we've got 2 rounds left, and I just realized if we try to do the Interrogate right now, well, I guess we'll immediately pick up the boss's own token, so that would give us 3 dice against him, if I'm understanding the rules right. But yeah, maybe I should not have had the mercenary run up. Maybe I should have tried to get at least 1 more token. Oh well, we'll just have to roll with it. Oh, and also, speaking of rolling with it, I should probably roll with the correct rules, because the assassin would have moved down 1 since she was within 2 of the mercenary now. All right, so does the rogue want to do a 3rd yellow this time to definitely get out of the difficult terrain? I don't think so. Let's just go for the same thing. Okay, that seems like a great roll. That seems like a dead boss immediately. I like that quite a lot. And, oof. Well, actually, that's great movement. I don't think I have anything that actually will stop the the guy from attacking me. I guess you'd use my throat slash. Or, I can just leave that enemy behind. We don't really care if all the red people are dead. So maybe I'll do that. A mercenary is definitely not free moving. He wants to kill the boss. Although, sadly, there is an enemy reaction. Hopefully the boss doesn't go. What? Are you serious? Come on. All right, so that means another 2 attack. They'll block 1 and take 1 damage. Not too bad. Then I'm having them activate 3 damage. And get this. Let's go ahead and roll for our interrogation. So 3 dice. We need 3 successes. Come on. Come on. Ooh, wow. So that was actually a 4. 3 plus 1. All right. And the mercenary does have 1 move left, but that assassin's about to attack. Ooh, but we don't care because Battle Sense, turn a foot into a focus. I forgot I had this little combo. And parry, change up to 2 focuses into shields. So come on, assassin. Expose yourself. We'll destroy you. All right, and then roll can turn the miss into a foot. I don't think there's anything for the rogue to use the focus for yet. Unless, again, she wanted to throat slash. So 2 feet will get us out of here. We don't really care about that guy. And actually, maybe we should go down here towards the money, another token. So we got 1 foot left and a focus. Wait, I don't think I want to do anything yet. Maybe next turn she can run in and throat slash them and try to get the money. And activation is incredibly simple. The assassin runs in, attacks. I block it. Done. All right, with that, we go into our final round, unless we want to take corruption. And I'm pretty happy with it being the final round, I think. We'll just try to get like 1 more token and the money. That'll be oh my god, that's a lot of good rolling, mercenary. You're just going to kill everybody. What? Oh my gosh. All right, I think we're going to need some free movement here, right? Maybe not, actually. I forgot that was an exit. So, yeah, I think the rogue will take a free move into there. Although enemy reactions are first, but now she can use her tripwire to cancel it if it's unlucky. So we're fine. And Mercenary will get a shield for not free moving in case the ninja, what is it, assassin, is the one who activates. But actually, it was the bruisers. But again, gonna use tripwire and negate one enemy reaction in my zone so he does not attack me. But she certainly attacks him. That is 3 to kill him. Thank you, yoink. And then my one non-important focus and the hidden token, double damage, boop. And we don't have to worry about moving anymore because he'll kill the assassin. And that leaves a nice free and clear path to actually either exit where we started out or where the boss was. I shouldn't forget the rogue got 2 money. All right, they don't really do anything. Who else did we kill? We killed the last green guy, and we killed her. We didn't kill either of them. We did get the money. Take a corruption roll. Now we're fine. So we successfully interrogated. We successfully got to an unguarded exit. Guarded would mean that an enemy was on it. So like if the boss was still there, then we couldn't have moved there. And we get 2 extra gems. Okay. Oh, cool. Now we can buy new items from the witch. That's pretty neat. And it looks like there's some more story, but we're going to stop there and just go through my thoughts on the game so far. All right, so what am I thinking about Fateforge? So far, the writing seems pretty cool. The narrative seems fine. I will say that the battles are so fast that I almost wish the narrative was like a little bit shorter because it feels like you're reading more than fighting. And I don't know if they'll have like a way to summarize through it. Now, you can always just kind of like skim through and then click, your choices really quickly. But yeah, it is interesting that they're building like a pretty cool story and like the world building is pretty interesting. It's like a pretty unique setting. But yeah, the fact that like compared to a usual dungeon crawler where like the battles are like an hour to an hour and a half maybe, the fact that these battles take like 10 to 15 or 20 minutes sort of makes the longer story stand out. So I like the story. I'm not quite sure about the balance and pacing compared to the battles yet, but I think it's pretty cool. What I really, really like, though, is the resting and building up. The fact that you are getting these items, getting these skills, and really creating, like, this was also in Vengeance, again, the game the system is based on originally. But I like the mitigation and the, like, sort of almost like engine that you get into with your combat. Like, I'm going to use this to change this into this, and then that will let me get this. And, like, the later skills and the later items are really absurdly powerful and let you do, like, awesome combos and things. And I think, you can have bad luck with the dice, but the mitigation is pretty good, and most of the actions aren't really useless, especially as you get more skills, that I didn't find that too annoying. And even if you lose a battle, you still keep on going. It just changes up, like, what happens in the story a little bit. So, yeah, I really like the building up of the characters, and especially that combo-ness. And that goes right into the battles. The objectives are simple. Things run really smoothly. But yeah, I really like these battles. They're punchy. They're quick. Setting them up doesn't take too long. Again, you can take the time like I did for this one to actually dig for the correct tiles. But if you don't want to, it's not really that big of a deal as long as everything connects correctly. The enemy AI is super straightforward. Now, does that mean that maybe it won't have enough variety in the missions? I don't know. But honestly, like, just rolling the dice and doing your combos and doing cool stuff is fun enough for me that even if the missions don't change up drastically, it's okay. But I will say, like, this one had us hunting for these tokens and fighting the boss and then interrogating him. Another one had us, the running away. Like there was one where there were too many enemies and I was trying to run away from them. There was another one where I was trying to hunt somebody who's running away from me. So far it seems like they have a pretty good handle in making the objectives and the scenarios pretty varied. Again, it's a very streamlined game. The combat is very quick, impactful, exciting, and then it's done in like 15 minutes. So I don't know if this is going to have ridiculously varied and complex scenarios. I kind of don't think so, and I kind of don't think that's what the game needs. But yeah, if you're looking for a like crunchier, heavier game, then this might not fit the bill. And also, if you're looking for not that much narrative, it might not fit the bill. But for me, I'm so into this basic dice combat. I liked it in Vengeance, but having it as a cooperative game instead of a solo or competitive experience, and like having this really big build of combos, whereas Vengeance didn't have that much of a build because it didn't go that far, like the campaign didn't exist. I think this is really fun. So I'm in for the combat. The story is a nice addition. I can see myself skipping or skimming through it sometimes, but I think this is great. So go check out the crowdfunding page, see what you think about it. But for now, I'm enjoying this one, and I think I'll check out. I'm not sure how much it'll be yet, but it's a pretty polished product from the stuff I've seen so far. So I like what I'm looking at. So that's Fateforge. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.